Hey everybody, Just Intuitive Angel Healer here with your Grounded. Thank you so much for joining our podcast today, and welcome to another episode of Dancing in the Toxic Shadows, finding empowerment and hope through the toxicity. This is a podcast that features an empowered soul swim through the toxic waters of life and have found the courage, strength, and blind faith used to obtain the life they truly want to live, and how they encourage others to take the leap of faith, no matter if they can only see the first two steps. Today, we have a very special guest, Roman, and he is from Toronto, Ontario. He's a podcast host and creator of Be version 2.0 of yourself, personal development and self-help tips. Thank you so much for having us today. Welcome to our show today, Roman. I appreciate having you here.
Hi, Jess, and I appreciate you having me here too. Thank you so much. And my last name is Mironov.
Mironov. Thank you so much, Roman, for being here today. You have an amazing story of a toxic relationship you were in where you got that aha moment that maybe because a lot of us are nose to the grind, work every day. And you're going to tell us all about how you had that aha moment that money is definitely not everything and love is definitely much more powerful and much more thing to go after than money. So tell us all about it and go ahead and tell us where you're from and everything.
Okay, so I am originally from Russia and I moved to Toronto just last year. So I've been here just for 1 year, and I made a transition from a translator to a relationship coach after getting my training with Tony Robbins. And so now, I will go into that toxic situation that I went through. So I met my wife almost 20 years ago, my first wife and my ex-wife. And my original problem was that I hadn't dated before meeting her. So I had basically zero relationship skills. But I was lucky. I got her and our relationship was pretty cool. And we dated for 4 years and then we got married. And here's where problems began, because so we worked together. We had our translation agency back in Russia, and I focused solely on work. I stopped actually putting in quality time with her. I stopped talking to her. We did not have any family rituals. We did not have any conversations outside of our work. And soon enough, she gave birth to our son, Dennis, and this made the situation even worse because she could not work. So I had to work even more to compensate her being unable to, chip in financially. And as a result, I basically spent my entire days at work, and she was very resentful about that. And I got angry because I could not understand her. I thought that she was supposed to appreciate my hard work. And so she thought that I wasn't appreciating her at home, what she was doing, all the little things, how she was caring for our son. And I thought that she did not appreciate the money that I was bringing in.
I understand that too, because I was in a 10-year relationship, and my relationship, it doesn't start out toxic. Everybody falls in love, and it's called the honeymoon phase. We all go through the honeymoon phase. And I remember my ex is a salesperson, and he's been selling stuff for 20 years. So he thought that he would fix everything by coming home and buying stuff, and that didn't fix my broken heart. So I fully understand, but that's the difference between, men and women. We don't, if we don't communicate, we don't understand that.
Communication stalled, basically, and I tried to improve the situation, but with the tools that I had. And I thought that those tools were like punishing her, giving her the silent treatment, telling her what to do, trying to get her into self-development, self-improvement, which never worked because I tried to push those things on her and she was resistant. And the more I pushed, the more resistant she became. And finally, she got fed up with this. She filed for a divorce. And that's how we ended up divorcing in 2014, 6 years ago. And after that, it took me several years to realize that, love is way, way more important than making money, because, I lost my family. I lost my connection with my ex-wife and my kid. Now I'm not able to spend as much time as I could with my kid. And those moments together, they are sacred, I think. I believe that the pleasure and the accomplishment that we get from those, they are way, way, way stronger than those that we get from work. And
most men go to work because in most societies, they're made to be the breadwinner. You're supposed to take care of, and back in the day, women were supposed to be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. Whoa, that's an old one, but now, thankfully, we have moved forward in our way of thinking. Most of society has. And so you're starting to see more women out there making it, not putting so much pressure, because that's the thing that I don't understand about that. How fair is it to put so much pressure on the man just because he's a man? And that's what is ingrained in our thought process and our mindset when men go to work, because men will work themselves like 18-hour days in the oil field, almost cut their fingers off, go home, drink a beer, sleep a couple hours, and get up and do it again. And that is why we are falling apart as a society, because I've done that before. I've gotten up and worked 3 jobs and worked, but at some point, a lot of times people do it if they're trying to avoid something, but then that's why a lot of people will use work to go. But then other people are like, I want to make sure that we're taken care of. So if I work my butt off, society has told us we're going to get everything, but I have to work my nose to the grind. And I've just recently realized that, I've always known this, but I've really started following this, that I don't have to work super hard, and my whole day doesn't have to consist of work to be happy and taken care of, because that's unfortunately the material pull of the world. And unfortunately, other people who weren't correct in setting that up, that, hey, you have to have X, Y, and Z to be considered successful. And I think that's the biggest bunch of garbage, because when people ask me about my podcast, I may not have 10,000 viewers, but you know what? I'm successful because in the first day of me releasing it, I've had people send me back stuff that said, wow, this touched my heart. I never thought of that. So that's why I love having you on and having this platform to discuss this, because this really needs to be discussed, that you do not need to work yourself to the grind to make it for your family. Because what ends up happening is, if you don't spend that time with them, obviously there's that disconnection, and then you start moving in 2 different directions. And that's totally what happened in my relationship. And then at the end, mine didn't want to let me go, and that's where all the chaos and the drama came in, because love's a funny thing, and once you get touched by somebody, it makes you do crazy things. I've thought and said crazy things pertaining to love. So I love it that you come out here and go ahead and tell us more. But I love it that your message, it's important for people to know that they don't have to work 10,000 hours to have that loving home and family and make it.
Exactly. And I think that the main problem when it comes to overworking yourself is that it's all about this material things paradigm. So you work because you want material things, but in the end, material things, they don't make you happy. They only make it worse for you because it's like a rat race. You see, let's say now you want a house for yourself and you want a family and you want a fast car, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you get those things, you decide now, okay, now I have them. What's next for me? And you say,
It's
okay,
always a what's next? What's next?
exactly. And you say, oh, okay, now I need a yacht. Now I need a golf club membership. And those things are very, very expensive, and you need to work yourself even more. You're actually now working yourself into the ground just because you want these material things.
And they
That's
don't
it.
stay around either. So, it's always, I've never had money's never made me happy, but it has bought me stuff to make me comfortable. And at this point of having it all, losing it all, having it all, losing it all, I've done it a couple times because and that was my problem, is I gave too much. I've set people up from literally poverty, gave them my time, devotion, love, everything they could to rebuild that person, to make it again, all for them to say, you know what? I'm tired of you. You annoy me. Your habits are boring. You talk too loud. You laugh too much, or something. This is how ridiculous my life is. So at this point, I've ran that rat race, and my last marriage taught me that I had a lot of nice things. I had $4,000 in bills every day, and that created chaos for me, because this is how high of a lifestyle that my ex wanted to live. So I went to school to be a medical assistant, but before this, I was working as a CNA, mental health facilities, taking care of the kids' mental health facility. I was working doubles so I would go in at 11 o'clock at night, come home at 3 in the afternoon. Okay, and I didn't sleep. I wasn't one of those techs that slept on my job. And one day I remember, because not only my house was 30 minutes away, it was way clear on the other side of town. And one day I actually scared myself because I was driving and I fell asleep. No matter what I did, I opened my windows, I turned on my air, I turned on the radio, and I literally fell asleep and caught myself because I'm on the freeway and thankfully nobody was around. But that really scared myself. I was like, I'm going to die trying to get this money. And then that's what started sinking in my head. And it's crazy because when I got that, then that started traveling down. Hey, you know what? And then that's when a couple years later, our marriage dissolved because I was like, I can't keep up with your taste. And it's not something that I want that bad. So if I don't want it, the energy on both sides, you've got to have both of you, really pushing forward to make that, your abundance come into fruition. And if one person's working this way and one person's working that way, it just causes a lot of resentment. And then I got told that I never worked. The one time, I think in my whole life, I took a month off because of all the chaos, and I was about to have a mental breakdown with everything because he was a narcissist. But I remember I took off for a month, and I remember I sat at home because I really needed some R&R. I was about to lose my mind. And he told me after that I was so lazy and that I never did anything. I was like, I've been working for the past 7 years of our relationship, so now I'm a lazy piece of crap. Okie dokie. So that really taught me at this point in my life, I lost everything in that marriage that I literally spent 10 years building because he took it from me. I tried to get it back, and he was one, when you leave him, he's going to show you. So he showed me, and he warned me. This is how we don't listen to red flags. He warned me at the beginning that he was going to take everything away from me if I ever left. And he did. He gave me pieces. So I'm very comfortable now to say, you know what, I work, I do my thing, and I love people, and it's all going to come to me, but I don't go take that extra step anymore to try to get the material things, because I think of the PTSD kicks in when I start thinking about it.
Yeah, good examples. I think, Arianna Huffington of the Huffington Post fame. I think one thing that she did that really, really made her change her mind about how she was supposed to work is that she was working this crazy 18-hour days. And one day she literally just fell, like she lost consciousness and fell like on her desk. And then she realized, no, this thing's got to stop. And that's when she sold the Huffington Post originally.
Wow.
And that's when she actually created this project called Thrive Global. And the basic idea of this project is actually achieving work-life balance.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, because we need it. And that's the biggest thing with my clients is we're taught literally if the harder you work, the bigger I'm going to tell you, everybody out there, I have worked so hard that I have a pulled muscle in my back, in my right side of my back. When I was a CNA, I was taking a man to the bathroom and the machine decided to break halfway in between. So I got this 300-pound man sitting there like this, so I get him down, no problem. He's fine. But when I put him down on the floor, he decides to be dead weight. And I didn't use good body mechanics because I was a new CNA, pulled my back out, and now I still can't sit comfortable in a car. So that's what I try to tell my clients when they come and work with me. Please let me show you a better way. Let me find out what you can do in life and let me help nurture those and get you a better career, because this working 20-hour stuff is for the birds. And maybe you're good in your 20s and 30s, but let me tell you, I haven't made it there yet. I'm only 39, but I just know if I didn't stop, I'm gonna be like my parents and people and patients that I've taken care of in their 60s in a wheelchair and in terrible conditions. So it's all about a mindset it's a balance. And even doing this, it's a balance, being a spiritual person, having all these people that need my time, and then my family that needs my time. So I'm constantly doing a balancing act. Now, I want to talk a little bit about your coaching business, because I tell everybody you have choices. You had a choice to either sit in your sorrows and just give up life. My dad did that when my mom and dad broke up. He just gave up. He literally went and gave up because he was already an alcoholic, but he was a functioning alcoholic in the family. But when the family dismantled, he became a full-on, blown-out alcoholic and his lust for life just dissolved. So you decided to take the choice of empowering others, which is so fantastic. We need more people like you out here. How did you stumble upon the Tony Robbins to get your business going? Because I really enjoy, he's one of my people, him and a couple of other coaches out there, but I really like his thought process and I can really relate to him. So go ahead and tell us all about how you got to creating your thing.
Absolutely. So after my divorce, I realized that I basically had zero dating and relationship skills, even though I had been in a marriage for 11 years. So I put myself out there. I got back to the dating world.
It's a scary world.
It is, yeah. It's been quite scary in the beginning, but then it got easier as I got more confident. So I spent the next 4 or 5 years dating, getting into relationships, and just making myself a guinea pig, because I learned a lot and I also tested everything on myself. I always made it practical, because that's one thing I don't appreciate about self-help is that people actually get addicted to it. They get addicted to self-improvement, but then they end up consuming a lot of material, but they don't take action. So
yes.
my biggest idea behind my coaching is that you need to take action. And that's what I hold my clients accountable to, doing the action items that we do. Anyway, and so I had a few relationships along the way, and then I had this beautiful opportunity to actually move from Russia to Canada, and I've been looking forward to it for a long time
Nice.
because this has been my lifelong dream, going to North America and living there. I ended up here and I told myself, okay, this is a great place for me to make a huge transition because I had been a translator for 14 years. And now that I am in a different country, in a different environment, I can pursue my life purpose, which I believe is really helping other people, relieving their burden, helping them get results in their life. And I said, okay, I also have this knowledge now of dating and relationships, and I can combine my passion for helping people with this knowledge that I got. And then I decided to take Tony Robbins' program. I took it. I finished it this April this year.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It was fantastic. I totally recommend it to anyone who, especially if you want to focus on relationships, because a lot of things that Tony teaches in that program is about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, I've been working with my clients, getting new clients, and helping my existing clientele. It's been fantastic.
And that's what's awesome about doing this, about being a coach, is because I really I've always been a spiritual coach. You know, I've been a medical assistant. I just never had the title. But now that I really committed to this, because when I had my spiritual awakening in 2017,
wow.
I wanted to, my angels, like, okay, because when I went through my toxic marriage, it was literally like, I've had a very colorful life, but at that moment, my ex did me real dirty. He took off with my kid because it was all about, he wasn't going to let our marriage dissolve. He was going to do whatever he could to make it stay together. So he went to the last thing he could, and he got my daughter and took her to another state and enrolled her in school and everything to get me out there. And because people like to dangle a carrot in front of you, but my biggest thing is I'm learning how to respond and not react, and my whole life I've reacted. So when he did this, everyone expected me to react and be on the 6 o'clock news and make a big scene. And I was like, no, y'all aren't going to get me that way. If I'm going to go to jail, it's not going to be, like that. Like, I'm not going to be suckered into what you guys are doing. So I sat there for the first time in my life in my apartment for a month with nobody. My friends turned on me, my family. My ex even called up my family and gaslighted them and told them all these crazy things that I never did. So my family doesn't even talk to me now because I was going to get this shirt that said, it had a fishing reel and rod in it. It says I'm a hooker, because it made me laugh so, because I'm not. But it was just funny that all these stories that were told, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I need to meet her, because I'm not doing none of this stuff, but I'm hearing all these fabulous stories of all this stuff that I'm not doing. That's why when I got on to doing this, it wasn't just about being a coach. It was more about, I'm going to do this to be a coach to help others, and I'm also going to be a coach to make myself accountable to keep doing this, because at that moment in my apartment, I was about to give up. And really, I've tried to give up my whole life, and as a light worker, it doesn't work. You don't get to give up as a light worker. So I always say I'm going to give up, but this time I was really serious. I was seeing the darkness, and because once my daughter was taken away, I didn't care anymore. But my angels started sending people in to just say little things and drop little hints. And I started getting pulled out of the darkness little by little. And then I met my guy 6 months after this whole thing started of my divorce. And it was crazy. At one point I was looking at his message saying what a beautiful queen I was. And I was looking at my ex's message telling me what a terrible, horrible person I was. So this whole thing is awesome, because I believe a lot of people, there's 9 million self-care books out there. I can read them all, but when I read them, I know that I'm mindfully reading them because I take notes. But a lot of people, you get excited about this self-care journey and you're like, whoa, I can do it. And I've had clients the first week, they're like, I'm good. And then a week later, crash and burn, and they're freaking out because it's kind of like depression. You feel good, but then all of a sudden you're like, I don't know what to do because I've had that depressed mentality my whole life. So it's almost like breaking up, divorcing your mindset to be, to think a certain way. So it's a whole journey. But I really like it that you use your relationship coaching in your own life, because I've met a bunch of coaches out there that say all this fun stuff that they read, and I'm like, you don't use it on yourself, do you? Because it's totally noticeable when you talk the talk, but you don't walk the walk. All right, so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about your journey here. What was your breaking moment that made you say enough is enough?
I think for me, it was the moment when I actually took responsibility for ruining my marriage. It was about 2 or 3 years after the divorce, because in that period between the divorce and this breaking moment, I thought that actually my ex-wife was to blame for this because she had filed for the divorce. But at that moment, I realized that no, I'm supposed to take the responsibility because it was my workaholism that led to our breaking up. That was the main thing. The fact that I was so blind to the needs of my wife and my kid.
Exactly. And you thought you were, but in your mind, while you were doing it, you thought you were doing everything you were supposed to be doing. But that's what happens, is distractions take us away. And I feel like that maybe was a karmic lesson for a karmic soulmate. And we have 4 main different soulmates. And the karmic one comes in to help teach you a lesson, because something, I don't know if you believe in past lives, but something happened between you and this soul in a different situation somewhere else, and then when they come back into this life, I'm glad you've learned that lesson, because that just tells me once you get your twin soulmate at the end, which is your other half of you. And I believe that comes to you when but you got to start, because everybody's looking, where's my soulmate? Where's my twin flame? Well, your twin flame, sadly to say, will not come to you until you get some of your lessons, taken care of. Once you start getting your spiritual stuff and your baggage taken care of, because that twin flame can't come into your life until you set up the correct environment for it. So mine finally came in, and I've figured this out because he came in 6 months and we've worked together. But if he would have came in at any other time, we wouldn't be together, because I was a hot mess. But I had enough time to take care of myself, get myself back together. When I met him, we talked about stuff, and it was like he was telling stories of my life, but in, a guy form. And I found out that we have so much in common. It's like he's literally the left side of my brain and I'm the right side of the brain. And that's how for all of you out there that are looking for your twin flame, it's not about just love. It's about a whole bunch of different factors that come in, and you just know. But you should never have to question, is it love, if it comes in, because it's love. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's people ask, is this person right for me? Well, why are you asking me? I'm going to say no right away, because if you're asking me if this person's good for you, that's going to be a no, because you've asked me and you didn't ask yourself first, because I'm not dating him. I'm sure you get all kinds of fun relationship questions I'm not a relationship coach. I'm pretty much like a spiritual coach. I pretty much encompass everything, and we always seem to get on the topic of relationships, and no matter how much I try to not be a relationship coach, there I am. Who or what did you use as a source of motivation to keep you going on your journey? And do you have any personal recommendations for our listening audience?
Oh, that's an easy one. Of course, there's Tony Robbins. I've been a huge fan of his work for 11 years now. And the first time it helped me was back in 2010 when I was in a mild depression after my dog died. So his positivity, his energy, his confidence, they, helped me pull myself out of that state. That was the first time. And the second time was after divorce. I listened to him a lot. I listened to him on repeat. And again, it pulled me out of that low state that I found myself in very quickly. And I think that the third time is he is helping me is when I took the program, the life coach training program. So that was the third big period of myself connecting to Tony's work. And I'm so blessed to have him as an influence in my life.
Documentary on Netflix. I've seen other stuff from him, but I really like that documentary because he is what helps me to get up here and inspires me is people like him, because I draw on that energy because I'm in the audience more like, hey, how do I get up there and be you? Because I want to get up there and share this message. And for him to have a guy in his audience, because they have this retreat, I guess, and this guy was about to commit. So he was on the really low end. He was really about to off himself because I could just tell, I could feel his energy because I'm an empath. I could feel your energy right now. To see him go in there, and it's not just about publicity. I can see that man's heart. And for him to be such a big guy, that's what I love, because my guy's a big guy. And I'm like, I want more guys out there that are men to go out there, because society paints that if you're spiritual and you have a heart and you have feelings that you're prissy. And that's not true, because that's the biggest stigma I would like to get out there, is because you can be a man, you can cry, and then you can still go lift 500 pounds and go run a marathon. You're still a man. It's okay to cry. I really want to get that out there, guys. And if you're like, stop repeating yourself, well, how long has it, how many messages do we have to get out there that it's okay, you're still a man if you cry? I'm just saying. It's my biggest pet peeve, because my dad literally died when I was 16, and I'm going to say he died from a broken heart, because now that I'm an energy healer, I work with chakras, and I've learned the more that you close off your heart chakra, the more disease, because you suppress that emotion. So the more you suppress that emotion, guess what? It's not flowing out of you, so now you're becoming toxic inside, and it's got to go somewhere, so it builds up. And it builds up, and then it turns into disease. And that's why you're supposed to cry, because crying flushes out all that negativity. But when you hold it in, now you've just manifested all that negative, stagnant energy to just stay inside you. What does a daily self-care routine look like every day so that you keep your mind, body, and soul balanced since your experience?
I do mindfulness practice. I do meditation every day. I take cold shower every day for 10 minutes. I read an audiobook, listen to an audiobook, or read a book, definitely for a few hours. I actually enjoy my dinner because I eat just one meal a day, so my dinner comes as a reward. So it's definitely among my self-care rituals. And I also ride my bike before I go to bed. And so I have this pre-sleep ritual that I'm that is very important to me. And it includes riding a bike.
Now, what did your self-care look like before that you got into this whole thing? Because I know my self-care consisted of cigarettes and Diet Coke and listening to some radio, because that's what we think self-care is. But what did yours look like before you got mindfulness into the mix?
Actually, nothing close to what I have today. I could listen to some music or listen to like Tony Robbins a little bit, but just a little bit. And that's it.
Because I just noticed the biggest thing everyone says is they don't have enough time. We have 24 hours in a day, but we don't have enough time to sit for 30 minutes and just be peaceful. I love that one. It's great that you got a good self-care routine here, and it's very important to wake up, and you don't have to do it all at the same time every day, but you do need to have at least one thing that you practice every day, because that'll start it'll start flowing into more. What does your journey look like now that you have taken back your power from the toxic shadows and its inhabitants?
I'm thankful for the experience. I appreciate the lesson, because now I'm so much better equipped to actually share my story with my clients, and I make myself more relatable that way, and I make it easier for them to see the lesson that I learned and not to repeat the same mistake in their own life. I think that this actually helps them to see where their mistakes in their relationships can lead them, and actually prevent those mistakes before they happen.
How are you enjoying Canada because it's cold out there, but you lived in Russia, so I'm sure that's colder.
Yeah, well, there are two components to that. The first one is, of course, I love Canada. Coming from an underdeveloped country like Russia, which I love, I lived there for 36 years, but anyway, Canada has a great law system. Everything is organized so well. Well, let's say I love to ride my bike, and there are a lot of bike trails around Toronto.
And the people are really nice out there. I've ran into a lot of Canadians. I love them. I've always wanted to go out there and just battle myself with the cold if I can hack the cold.
But the second component of this move that I made from Russia to Canada is actually the fact that I still miss my friends and family, which are back in Russia. So there is this missing component for me. I might feel a little bit lonely at times.
You get to talk to them over Skype and stuff? Or over video? Awesome. Yeah, that's really hard. I understand the moving, because in the medical field, I've met a lot of people that they had a choice, and especially in India, they have a choice to come over here, but the visa will only let them, and last time I checked, it was only like they would let their immediate family, but sometimes they won't even do that. It depends on what kind of visa they want to give you. And I know that stinks for a lot of people that come from different countries. I don't know how I'd feel. Okay, well, there's that choice again. You can go work and provide for your family, but hey, you don't get to see your family. So that's a really, it's a tough draw.
True.
Well, I am so happy to have you on the show and share your message here. Where can our listening audience find you if they resonate with your story and your services?
My general coaching program. And if you'd like to get onto my coaching program, please go to my website, which is romanmironov.com, spelled as ROMANMIRONOV. Hit the contact tab. Get a no-fee relationship breakthrough session with me. And if you mention that you're coming off Jesse's podcast, I'd be happy to give you a 30% discount.
Awesome. See, you guys even get a discount for listening. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today. What advice do you have to give to fellow listeners out there that are doing a similar toxic dance to overcome it and move forward?
Guys, it's all about unconditional love. When you go into a relationship, don't go there with any expectations to receive love. Instead, go there to give. You'll get 3 results out of that. The first one is that we feel love when we give it, not when we receive it. The second thing is that you'll make your partner happy. This will improve the relationship. And the third thing is that when they see that you are so intentional about meeting their needs, they will reciprocate. They will do the same for you.
Awesome. That is super good advice for everyone out there. So thank you so much for what you do. And I can't wait to, hear about your love story down the road. You can always come back and share it with us.
I'd love
Because
to.
now that you got the karmic lesson out, we're going to be like, okay, got that karmic lesson done, and now on to bigger and better things, because that's kind of how I feel about my guy. I'm like, well, finally, I'm 39. Finally, I learned that karmic lesson instead of running from it, because it just kept, when you run from a karmic lesson, it just keeps reappearing in different people. But I'm totally excited to see, because you're a great catch, and somebody's going to be very excited to have you as their person. So I see great things for you. You keep doing what you're doing. Come back and share.
Thank you for reassurance, Jess.
Well, you're
that's really
welcome. I am
inspiring.
an angel intuitive, and I know my stuff. And your angels want you to know that you're just fine, and don't beat yourself up as long as you learn the lesson. That's all it is, because that lesson, once you learn the lesson, it stops reappearing. I am proof. But if we run away, that's what we try to do, because it's really painful to face that lesson. But you did. High five for that. You faced your lesson, and now you're going to get a good girl who's your other half, and you're going to be like, wow, this is amazing. You're just like me. And I only know it because that's what I do in my life, is I help people, stop going after that loser that's gaslighting them and lying to them. And I'm like, go for the real person. He's over there. He's just not as cute. He may not be as big and fabulous, but I don't want a big and fabulous guy. Any guy that's ever came by that looked dazzling and was hot to trot, keep on walking. I don't want you. I don't need that. There's been some songs about it. But thank you so much for coming here today, Roman. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Jess. It's been a privilege.
There you have it, beautiful souls. Another powerful guest that has learned to survive their swim in the toxic waters and break up with their toxic dance partner, fear. If you need help trying to find a new dance partner, please reach out to myself or to Roman on our show today, and let us show you how a single 4-letter word can change your mindset. And that 4-letter word is love. With love, all things are possible. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Dancing in the Toxic Shadows. Until we meet again, this is Jess Intuitive Angel Healer, sending angel vibes. Love and light, everybody. Take care.